We're pounced on by two Palestinian terrorists, and they say, Allahu Akbar, and I think he's going to behead me. Fall to the ground, he's stabbing me multiple times. I can hear my bones crunch. Then 2 meters away, I watch the other one just chop up my Christian friend. Where are you that you could hold a machete in one hand, a cigarette in another, and butcher a Christian woman to death because she thought she was Jewish?
Welcome back, everybody, to The Quad. Here with me in the studio, my colleague and friend, Vivian Berkovich, former ambassador of Canada to Israel, founder of her own podcast, State of Tel Aviv, and all the way from the United States, Ashira, remote with us, Ashira Solomon, political moderator. And unfortunately, Emily, again, is on an important mission and couldn't be with us this week, but next week will be different. And Vivian, Ashira, I don't know whether this is the feeling that you ladies have, but I almost feel like the world is closing in on us. I've lived, as I think both of you have, as a free woman, a free Jew my whole life, thinking about the persecutions of past almost intellectually. My family, had to run out of Spain, and we did, and I'm sure that you have stories from your own families. And I mean, apart from the wonderful news of the helicopter going down from Raisi, I just feel that every day brings another blood libel, brings another set of people who've decided to turn their backs, attack, put out the pitchforks for the Jewish people. And of course, I'm talking about yesterday's latest stunt, which is the ICC, the International Criminal Court, unprecedentedly putting out arrest warrants for the democratically elected Prime Minister of the State of Israel, alongside the Hitler of today, the Osama bin Laden of this story, Yahya Sinwar, who cut babies' heads off, his people raped women, and have still got with him 132 hostages, 128 hostages. We don't know whether they're alive or dead. Vivian, you're a lawyer. You also are somebody who knows the international legal apparatus quite well. Did you ever think we'd get to this point?
Yes. I'm not surprised at all.
So talk us through this.
But I'm going to just, sort of like dampen expectations a little. I follow, I am engaged, I understand the international legal apparatus.
Working with it.
I know, but yeah, I just want to undersell my international.
Oh, please don't be a woman.
All right. So here's the first thing. It's true. She's right. Like, we always do that. We always undersell.
Yeah.
If I was a man, I'd be saying I run the world.
Exactly.
And I should.
We should run
the
world. Girls.
Do a great job. Okay. So first of all, I just want to clarify one point, that the International Criminal Court yesterday did not actually issue warrants.
True.
They
made an application.
They basically put out a statement and made a big public circus of the fact that they intend to apply to the court to have warrants approved so that they can be issued. Okay. So what was really weird, there are so many weird things going on, but, just your overarching comment. Yes, I feel the walls closing in. I feel the ceiling coming down, and I feel the floor just disappearing on us. It's really unprecedented. It's just everything. As soon as you get used to this new insanity, right, and start to figure out how we're going to live in it, everything gets crazier.
A new insanity comes the next day.
It's just wild. And so what happened yesterday was, usually when the International Criminal Court decides to do something so momentous, which it's done very few times in the past, it communicates with the targets, in this case, Prime Minister Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant.
You mean the ICC would have been in touch with the Israeli political leadership to talk about what they're trying to do, or what
political leadership, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that wouldn't just, and this was truly just dropped. So Karim Khan, Englishman, chief prosecutor of the ICC, King's Counsel, very highly regarded, apparently. By all accounts, a sober, reflective, responsible counsel, lawyer, barrister. But he's become surrounded by these human rights activists, among them Amal Clooney, among them many Arabs and other activists who have made no secret of their hatred towards the state of Israel over decades. And these people, a group of these people, became his main advisors.
And they can act with impunity.
Well, they seem to be able to. I mean,
But also, they're acting outside of their jurisdiction, aren't they? We are not a signatory to the treaty.
right.
The United States, by the way, is also not a signatory to the treaty. But essentially, they are doing something extrajudicious in terms of our participation, aren't
Well,
they?
let me.
Apart from stretching the
So
law.
there's the jurisdictional issue is a really big and important one, but I want to just outline something else around the circus, which is in the statement of the court. Khan referred to the territory of Israel.
Yes.
where
And the
these-
state of Palestine?
and the state of Palestine.
Unbelievable.
So, I mean, it's a gong show, but it's a really serious gong show. So, do they have jurisdiction in and over Israel? Well, that's where it gets really interesting. We say no. They say, well, yeah, because the whole Palestine-Israel thing isn't really decided. Your borders aren't final. Well, but this is what...
But we're a democracy and we have our own judicial system. And
that's the other really important point, is that before you even get to the stage where you're going to issue a warrant for arrest, there's a whole investigation, examination that goes on. And they just kind of bypassed the whole investigation stage and said, nah, we're going straight for the jugular.
this was Pitchfork's stunt.
So crazy and irresponsible.
Crazy responsible, and I think very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
For peace-loving countries, for democracies. They're basically criminalizing self-defense. Ashira, how do you see things all the way from the United States? Has it hit the headlines? Is it something people are talking about? What's going on over there?
Yes, I was in the community yesterday and everyone is just outraged. They're like, this is absurd. It's a monkey court, as you guys mentioned previously on previous episodes that we talked about, that they can put Bibi alongside Hamas leaders, a terrorist organization that committed genocidal acts against us on October 7th. To then put Bibi Netanyahu alongside them is just ridiculous. Also, I know you mentioned that the U.S. is not a member of this court. Israel is not a member of this court. No, major state is. Russia, India, China is not a member of this court. And I'm just like, why are people even taking this court seriously? I looked into like their past warrants of arrest. It's been like, I don't know, a few warlords from Africa that are, are members of the court. So my question, Vivian, really is, if we're not members, what can they do? Does this just fall down to being a performative act? And can the U.S. place sanctions on this court?
So both really good points. I just want to make clear, you're absolutely right, that many major powers, certainly I think the majority of the UN Security Council, are not signatories to the statute that created the International Criminal Court. Having said that, most of Western Europe, all of Western Europe is, South America, most countries, and they have tried Milosevic, and
They did try, but also, who are the people they haven't tried?
Well, that's real.
Bashar al-Assad, who killed 500,000 of his own people, the dictator in Syria. His father killed
It's a long
100,000. It's a long list of real genocidal dictators, evil people. Raisi, I'm not going to say Zichron Livracha, Raisi, who is now dead thanks to a helicopter
And who they are
crash,
busy honoring.
and who they honored with a 1-minute silence at the UN yesterday. The people of Iran must be honestly so offended and feel so invisible right now when the world communities are bending over backwards to honor the butcher of Tehran who killed so many women, who killed so many people. It's just, that's what we feel.
We have no moral compass. But I just want to address Ashira. I think it was I love the way you phrased it when you asked, well, is this just all performative? They don't have jurisdictions. But right now, what it does is it turns us, it puts us on a pedestal, a pariah nation that our prime ministers, and I'm no Bibi fan, that the prime minister of Israel and the minister of defense are equated anywhere
with an arch terrorist,
with these savages. says to me, we're beyond redemption. We are
beyond redemption.
Well, the Western world is beyond redemption.
Yes.
We are in the midst of whatever it turns out. We're in the midst. We're all going in the blender together. God knows what's going to come out of it. But the next few years aren't good. We're going to be isolated and vilified and demonized. And the fact that the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court had the audacity to stand up as a professional barrister, which means something to some of us still, and make these allegations with no evidence. It's all word of mouth. It's indirect testimony.
Indirect testimony plus lies.
So let's say the warrant does get approved for arrest. Does that mean if Bibi was to fly to one of the member states of this court, that country would arrest a sitting prime minister?
If the country actually made good on that arrest warrant.
I think they actually have to.
They have to?
I don't know. I'm not an expert in that.
They have to.
I think they do have to exercise the warrant. But what it means, for example, so, if Bibi wants to go to America, which he can still do, right? Because they're not signatories. But we talk about threading a needle with your flight path. Because if you're in the airspace of any signatory countries, i.e. Europe, they can force the plane down.
They can?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty crazy. And listen, there's still hope that some sober minds will prevail and that they will not succeed in that application. Is there any hope?
I don't know. Who are the sober minds we're talking about? Who are they? Biden?
No. The people in the court who have to decide whether to allow this to happen or not.
Oh.
But I think some good governments have already come out, like the UK, like the US, and have called this for what it is, the absurdity that it is. And now we have a very special guest on the show, somebody who many years ago went through a horrific attack, Hamas attack, that almost killed her. And today she's helping victims of October 7th move on, chronicle their experiences. In the studio with us is Tal Hartuv, or previously Kay Wilson. With all the trauma the country has been going through, from the hostages that came out to the people who survived terror attacks of October 7th and the war since, sometimes we have to try and understand how that person feels and if there's really a hope to get better, to feel better, to go back to normal life. We are privileged to have on the quad this week my good friend Tal Hartuv. You may know her as Kay Wilson. Tal is an educator, a guide for Yad Vashem, but most importantly, she's a terror survivor back when you were Kay Wilson. And somehow, Tal, you've managed to take the most difficult of situations any human being could go through, and we'll ask you about that in a second, and turned it around to the point that today you're actually helping October 7th survivors chronicle their experiences. So, Tal,
You want the ABC of an idiot's guide to surviving a machete attack?
yes.
All right, okay, all right.
And she has a sense of humor, everyone.
Living the Zionist dream, right?
Yes. 2010, you're on a walk in the hills.
In Shvil Israel, in the Israeli path, the nature trail in the state of Israel. I'm taking a hike with a client of mine. I was a tour guide, a Christian lady, American Christian, Christine Lucan. We're on the trail. We're pounced on by two Palestinian terrorists. I'd seen them in the bushes, but I didn't think they were terrorists. Maybe they were going to nick our bags or something. So I'd managed to take out a small penknife, just in case they're going to steal something. And when one of them jumped on me, I managed to stab one in the nuts, right? So can I make a bad joke here? It's the only time in life that size actually matters. But anyway, so I did that. And but nevertheless, the next half hour, they're holding us at knife point. I'm talking knife point, serrated edge. One of the knives is nearly a foot long. They go through my backpack. They find my Israeli ID. Now, it's the old one. Do you remember where you had Jew, Arab?
Yes.
So they just assume that we're both Jewish, and I'm trying to keep Christine calm. I'm telling her the most ridiculous stuff, like, don't worry, this always happens in Israel, that kind of stuff.
God.
Yeah, just so there wouldn't be panic. I try and persuade them to have my car. They don't want the car. And after half an hour, and it's a long time, I mean, we're talking eternity, right? Half an hour where your life is in the balance. They tie our hands up with my shoelaces. They take off my Magen David. They gag us. Then they put me on the knees, force me to my knees. And I remember, Fleur, at that moment, I saw this light. It wasn't God, all right? It was the sun glinting off his machete. And they say, Allahu Akbar. And I think he's going to behead me.
Yeah.
Just make it quick.
Yeah.
Fall to the ground. He's stabbing me multiple times. I can hear my bones crunch. The serrated knife gets stuck in bone. And he's just like peeved, you know. And the only thing I knew to do was to play dead. That was the only hope I had. So I'm lying on my side. He's hacking at me. And I keep my eyes open. And 2 meters away, I watch the other one just chop up my Christian friend. They leave, they come back for...
They think you're dead.
Yeah, and they come back for, how do you say, vidua riga, like to ensure that I'm dead. They turn me over, and now I'm looking up at the pine trees. And
Eyes open.
Eyes open, I'm still like so
And they
shocked now.
They don't know you're breathing.
No, I barely know I'm breathing. I just it's like an otherworldly thing. And I watch this sunset, and it's covered by a silhouette of his hand holding a knife. And I watch him plunge it into my chest, which was my heart by 4 millimeters. I didn't flinch, blink, move. They leave, and I have one last commission in life, which is to die near where I parked the car so police can find my body. Somehow I managed to stand, gag-bound, barefoot. I walk over a mile. I had 30 broken bones, had ribs coming out of me. I had a collapsed lung, a dislocated shoulder. But I managed to walk and get back to where I parked the car, and a family called the ambulance, all right? Then I have to tell you something funny, because you like irony. I get to the hospital, all right? I am so soaked in blood. Rushed into the operating theatre, and ironically, the last words I hear before I'm gone in that way was in Hebrew from a Jewish surgeon to his colleague. He says, Muhammad, tell me the sakin. Like, Muhammad, give me the knife, give me the scalpel. And I say it every time. It was an Arab surgeon who saved my life. Blackout for 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, what happens? Because I stabbed him in the nuts, the DNA on my sleeve and stuff, the police apprehended them very quickly, and they confessed to murdering another lady 10 months previously, Netta Blat Sorek, Zichronah Levacha. And when I was in court with these savages, and it's also documented on an Israeli TV, you know, the judge asked, well, why did you murder an American Christian? And they say without blinking an eye, we thought she was Jewish. And that's what we have.
Who were they? Okay.
They were...
Hamas?
One was Hamas at the time, and one was Fatah. And may I just take over your show here, right? There's so much focus on Hamas. But we must never forget that the infiltration, this barbarity on October the 7th, was also committed by members of the Palestinian Authority, Fatah, Islamic Jihad, the PLFP, and many, many innocent civilians. We got to keep focused on who has been doing that. I met you when you were speaking about the funding of terrorism. And until today, my assailants have been given hundreds of thousands of dollars, money from the EU, and also by the American government.
From the pay-to-slay policy. So, okay, so this happens to you.
Do you need a cigarette?
I've actually read your book, which is excellent. It's called The Rage Less Traveled, and I really highly recommend it, because that chronicles your rehabilitation, not just your physical rehabilitation, but your emotional rehabilitation. So now Tal Hartuv, no longer Kay Wilson, is helping survivors of October 7th. What do you tell them in order to give them hope that they will eventually have a normal life again?
I don't think life will ever be normal, okay, for anybody who's been in a terror attack. But I'll tell you something. The reason I changed my name, I spoke all around the world. I spoke at this despicable United Nations. What a joke. And I became known. I felt I was becoming known for what happened to me. You know, people would come up to me and give me a hug for being stabbed. It's like, you know, it's like, no. I mean, I appreciate the affection and the support, But I got to the point where I thought, this is what happened to me. It doesn't define me.
I got it.
And there's no replacement for time. A continued healing, it takes time. I wouldn't be the same person today as I was 13 years ago, right? There's no exchange for time. These people who were brutalized on October the 7th, I look at them, I don't know, my heart breaks. I think, my God, you've got a long road ahead. Right. But with that, I think if we realize that we're not what happened to us, all right? It happened to us. We are not, as a people, we are not what happened to us. Look, we built a fantastic state after the horrendous horrors of the Holocaust. We have also, and I see it with the survivors, and I had it too. You know, in Jewish prayer, we never say I, right? Say nachnu, we. Community, we have to see ourselves as part of okay, I'm Israeli, I'm Jewish, but I'm part of a neighborhood, a family, a community, a worldwide nation, a state. This idea of our peoplehood and knowing who we are, where we've come from, what's happening, where we're going, all these things help. And I'll give you another little thing that helped me was, and it came after really years and years, there's such a, what do you call it? There's something really bad happens to you. And the first thing we ask ourselves is what?
Why me?
Why me? And I asked God, why me? And he says in a Yiddish accent, why not? Meaning, that's not the question we need to ask. The first question in our own Bible, Ayeka, like when God says to Adam, where are you? Humanity, not why, where are you? That in my case, at least. Where are you that you could hold a machete in one hand, a cigarette in another, and butcher a Christian woman to death because you thought she was Jewish? And that's a question. This type of response, forget the military response and all of this. We should be asking the world, where are you? Where are you on October the 7th? Standing in grief for this idiot who got killed in a helicopter crash, the absurdity of the ICC, the bullying at the Eurovision Song Contest. We should be putting this question to the world. Where are you? What have you been doing?
You're so right.
Absolutely. I just wanted to know, what kind of work are you doing today with survivors of October 7th? And what's the professional background? We're very familiar now, or somewhat familiar. I know it's a very condensed version with your personal experience and the empathy and compassion that you bring to whatever the work you're doing. But what is the work you're doing?
Okay, so I don't want to be big-headed because it always sounds so much better on TV. I have spoken with survivors one-to-one, but at the moment I'm translating subtitles to document this history for a company that I'm not allowed to say who it is. All right, so I'm in front of the computer for hours a day. With that, and I'm translating to English, and it's going to be translated into different languages, all right, which is exactly what we've done with Holocaust survivors. With that, of course, because I was quite well known because of what happened to me, I'm in touch with people who endured terror attacks before October the 7th. And this kind of thing, what do you say, it brings stuff up. And there's nothing funny about October the 7th at all. But if with that, if we can get to the place of having coffee and have a little joke about something else, and you see a smile crack on somebody's face, that's also very helpful. So just to walk with them, to talk about, just be yourself, Don't go bald overnight and have some pearls of wisdom. Just be you. One thing that really helped me, there was no Jew, no Israeli, who came to me and said, oh, Tal, or Kay as I was then, oh, look at you, you're disabled mentally, you're disabled physically, oh, you poor thing, your life's gone to amount to nothing. No one said that. This indulging in victimhood is so, dishonoring to the individual. And this is what the Palestinians have done over the last few years.
They've turned it into a cult.
It's disgusting. Look, first of all, even if you're pro-Palestinian, what's so noble and helpful about holding people in perpetual victimhood? It's not kind, helpful, moral, noble, or true. And we have to get out of this. I don't think they will. I think it's too late because it's being egged on by the woke West, right? But that's why I say I'm not a victim. I won't argue that I was once a victim of an attack. I'm not even a survivor now. I'm just me.
You're you, but you are somebody who is a survivor, who have turned a new page and who has gone back, even though it must be re-traumatizing, and helping other people get through it. So Tal, Kay, we love you and thank you for being in the show.
Thank you very much.
I seem to be saying this every week, but what a bucket of scumbags every single week brings. And this week is, of course, even more special than other weeks in terms of the spoiled for choice nature of the amount of terrible cretins there are in this world.
Terrible cretins.
Terrible cretins. And so, Ashira, all the way from the United States over there, who's your scumbag this week?
My scumbag this week is American rapper Cardi B. She has come out and says she will not be supporting the Biden administration with her vote this year because the Biden administration is funding genocide in Palestine. She is completely hypocritical. This is a woman who has rapped about being in a blood gang, has talked about publicly how she used to drug men and at knife point threaten men and steal and take money from them, how she has threatened people publicly to have her quote-unquote hitters, her gangs, to go out and murder women who have slept with her husband. And now she's all of a sudden having this halo moment that she's this angel and wants to talk about genocide in Palestine. So she is my scumbag of this week.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
I have to say, like, that person is even an influencer.
She's
Like,
a
what
singer.
what else do you need to know about the demise of Western society?
She's a
Exactly.
major rapper,
Like,
Vivian.
She's a major rapper and she's
Okay.
pretty ignorant. I mean, she's not an educated person.
Well, I just wear it
She's
as a badge of
illiterate.
honor. To all those out there who are watching and thinking, huh? What's her name? Me too. Never heard of her.
Cardi
okay?
B.
Cardi B's pretty big. She's like that.
I do not live in a cave, and I've never heard of her.
She's like the female Kanye.
Okay.
You've heard of Kanye.
I've heard of Kanye.
So she's now joined the scumbag Kanye bucket. Cardi B, it's a shame. I used to like your music. I will not be hearing it anymore. And I'm sure my brain will be better for it.
F-bomb to you.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Ashira. Vivian.
Oh, now my turn?
Yes.
The lovely. I like cretins.
Oh, I
love
said curtain of
cretins.
the week, but they said it was too British.
It is, but that's why I like it.
Okay.
So anyhow, I'm my cretin of the week is Christiana Amanpour,
Oh,
who, yeah, I did talk about her in the earlier segment. She's the superstar, international correspondent, whatever, of CNN, based in London. She somehow managed to scoop a lengthy sit-down interview with the chief prosecutor of the ICC yesterday, immediately after he made his outrageous and surprise announcement.
the curation of this.
Correct. I mean, clearly choreographed and staged. And there was Christiane. And aside from the fact that she was just giddy with a glee she didn't even try to contain or hide,
Yep.
right?
She had a spring in her step.
This, again, I mean, you want another sign of the demise of Western civilization, that this person and this network are held up as news, as legitimate, as in any way credible. And I have a personal, deep loathing of that woman, because it just, how do you sit there and lie to the world the way you do? So I don't even want to say, it's just like, it doesn't get more good.
No, she's been horrible. In general, this war has been really the peak of her horribleness. She's married or was married to a Jew?
Was,
right? They got
yeah, but I
divorced.
love it. He's a Jewish Jew.
Oh, probably not. But also, when she interviewed Queen Rainier, one of our previous scumbags, I think it was back in December, she completely softballed her, all the questions, had zero scrutiny for her, just accepted Rainier's lies. And so, she is a piece of work, that Christiana.
So I don't, like, all of you people out there who watch CNN and bolster their ratings, question that. Really.
Well, at least don't watch the show. Jake Tapper's been amazing.
But why is this person so exalted? Why is she given this platform?
You know why?
Tell me.
Because she interviews the Ayatollahs and wears a hijab.
Right, I remember that.
That's why.
Anyhow,
No feminism there. Okay, that's a...
Your cretin?
My cretin / scumbag. I'm not letting go of scumbag. I get stopped by the street with people.
I like
stopped
cretin.
on the street. Mine is Karim Khan. Karim Khan is the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. Like you said, Vivian, he had a good career. This man who seemed decent, seemed professional, surrounded himself with, as you said, a bunch of these woke human rights, so-called human rights activists, including Amal Clooney, who we can also push in there as a scumbag. In fact, all of the ICC right now can be seen as a scumbag. They've got the court Jew. They've got some guy called Friedman. They've got another Israeli-American guy called Meron, who is known. These are, of course, we can put them in the category of the capo Jews who somehow want to ingratiate themselves with the Jew haters, thinking that they will be protected. We saw it in the Second World War. And this Karim Khan has brought enormous discredit to the organization that he's supposed to be representing. He, exactly as you said, went straight onto TV to make a song and dance about it. And I'm praying that there's a little miracle here and the court actually gets so much pressure from the decent countries of this world that they do not agree to issue those warrants. But either way, Karim Khan, you are the scumbag of the year.
Ah, yeah, go Fleur.
What else am I going to say? All right.
It's great. I totally agree.
Let's go now and really kind of cleanse ourselves from all those scumbags and find some heroes, because for as many scumbags as there are many heroes also. Ashira, who's your hero this week?
My hero this week is a sweet little 6-year-old girl named Eden Rose. Her mother was having her graduating from NYC Law School, and some Palestinian protesters went up and started protesting the graduation. And Eden was sitting in the audience, and she had drawn a heart that day at school, and she went up to the stage all on her own, and she put up her poster, which was just a heart, and walked around the stage alongside the Palestinian protesters with the heart. And I just thought this was so precious. Like, how does a 6-year-old know to get up and say, you know what, I'm going to go up there and have peace. These people are acting completely crazy, and I'm going to go and show love and peace. And it just restored my faith in humanity to see such a young person have that type of boldness and awareness to get up and go do that all on her own. So Eden Rose is my hero this week.
She made the headlines, and for good reason. We need more Eden Roses for the next generation of leaders. Great, great hero. Thank you, Ashira. Vivian?
Well, again, I feel like I live in a cave. Thank you, Ashira. So my hero of the week is UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who, got off to a slow start, but has really started to turn into an actual leader.
I agree.
And he made a statement yesterday. I just want to say that for all you, people who follow Canada closely out there, the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, has not said anything.
Shocker.
I know. And when he does, it's not going to be good for us. But I want to read this. I don't do this often, but it's so important. The statement made by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak yesterday. UK's government issued a statement on Monday, blah, 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 saying they don't support the International Criminal Court's decision to pursue arrest warrants against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. The quote is, "We do not believe that seeking warrants will help get hostages out, get aid in, or deliver a sustainable ceasefire. This remains the UK's priority. As we have said from the outset, we do not think the ICC has jurisdiction in this case. Well, we know it doesn't. The UK has not yet recognized Palestine as a state, ICC has, and Israel is not a state party to the Rome statutes. In other words, we're going to do everything we can in concert with the United States and any other countries that still have a scintilla of sane leadership to pressure the ICC not to go ahead with issuing these warrants. That's what I read between those lines. And I say,
I'm with you.
Thank you, Rishi, because he's going to get significant domestic blowback because of this statement. He has a large Muslim population in his country, and he's standing up for what's right.
He did the right thing.
Yep.
Now, all credit to Rishi Sunak. Really, really happy with his reaction. And the UK is a very important party here.
Very important.
So I'm really proud of my British roots right now.
Me too.
So my hero, a guy I met last night.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
I was invited to a dinner with Elise Stefanik, who made a fantastic appearance in the Knesset with a very strong speech about Jewish hatred on campus and her own efforts. We've spoken about her on our show, and I told her that many times before, her own efforts, really spearheading the fight against university administrators who are simply morally confused. They're not calling out anti-Semitism for it is, and they're letting these gangs of hooligans just run riot. And what she did tell me, which I'm very encouraged about, is that they're going to go and hit them where it hurts with state funding and everything else that comes to those universities from very significant budgets. This is not just going to be, as you like to say, Ashira, performative. There's actually going to be a price to pay for not protecting Jewish students, for allowing blatant anti-Semitism to run riot. And that is going to have a cost. And I've got to say, I was impressed with her. She's a wonderful, modest woman. I had a fantastic conversation, but she's going to get this done because she's very strong, very morally clear. She came here to Israel. She went to the Knesset. She addressed it. So I'm a huge fan, and I'm really, really happy that I got to meet her and thank her directly for all that she's doing for this absolute incredible cause that she's taken on.
And I'm just wildly envious.
Oh, next time I'll ask if I can bring a plus one.
I'd behave well in everything.
I know.
Yeah.
Taking you places before.
Performative? Is that like a whole millennial thing?
Performative. I love that.
You're right. Yeah.
Ashira is like our millennial woke dictionary.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I actually know what it means. But, yeah.
So just in Emily's name, I will allow myself to talk about her hero of the week. And all of you know that Emily has been a huge stalwart campaigner towards the freedom of the Iranian people against the Islamic Republic. And I thought her hero is brilliant. Emily's hero this week is the helicopter that downed the 5 snakes from the Iranian leadership that died this week. And so every cloud literally has a silver lining. And we thank Emily for that fantastic idea. And with that, we're going to bid you goodbye for another week. And again, we pray this madness ends, but more than anything, we pray that our hostages come home.
Amen.
Thank you.